Hello and what's up peeps, this is the Geek Artist back again with another video, and it's that time of the month when I review and critique artworks submitted by you guys. And this time I'll be reviewing two artworks. First piece submitted by Zenith Artistry and the second piece done by Rohit Chaurasia. So if you want to get your artwork reviewed by me, you can directly mail it to me, or if you have an Instagram art page, you can just upload the artwork there and use the hashtag #TheGeekArtist in the description while posting, and I'll check it out and possibly review it in the next month's critique video. Alright, so let's do this. So here's the first piece done by Zenith Artistry, and I really love it. It's a beautiful piece, and there are a number of things that are working out pretty well for this, such as the use of colors and the brush strokes. I'm really digging that. I love how he used multiple shades of green and then some subtle hints of blue, pink and orange for the green grassland or the valley, and even the depth is working out really well. The atmospheric perspective, that's spot on, and also the leading lines, those are working really well. You have multiple leading lines all pointing towards the central area with the location pointer, making it pretty clear that that's an area of interest. Now the main issue I see in this piece is it's with contrast. Basically it needs some working on the contrast. For example, I can say that this character in the foreground is the focal point, it's the primary area of interest, and it should stand out the most. But I feel like the amount of contrast is almost similar to that of the tree. So the tree and the character have almost the same amount of contrast. So the character needs to have more contrast and needs to stand out more. And one way of doing that is by making it darker, which won't really work in this case. So another way would be to make the background lighter. And we already have a great scope of doing that, because I feel like the platform where she's standing on, the cliff, is a little bit underlit, so we can add some extra light over there. And also this entire place, there's a bit of a depth issue and contrast issue. Right now it feels like, if you squint your eyes, you're gonna notice that the platform is completely blending in with the background valley or plain. It has similar colors and similar values, so it might even feel like this foreground is actually a part of the background, and that the dark side of the rock might even be a crack or a fissure on the ground. So we need to make this whole piece of rock stand out, pop out using contrast. That's the whole deal. So I'm going to start off by giving it some vignette effect. I'm going to choose a mid-tone cooler color, and with the help of soft round brush, drawing the vignette effect. Lower the opacity and erase a bit of it from the central area. So now we have a good vignette effect there, pulling our attention away from the foreground and focusing it towards the central area. Now I'm going to paint some bright warm light in the distant background, so we have a good amount of gradient directing our attention towards the central area. Now coming back to the cliff, I'm going to use the lasso tool to select the shape of the cliff on which the light is falling, and in overlay blending mode I'm going to paint some light on it. As you can see, I'm using the soft round brush and a bright yellow color for that. Now with the smudge tool, I'm going to smudge the transition area between the light and shadow to make it look more organic, and then I'm going to give it some subsurface scattering effect. I'm just going to paint some reddish tones near the transition area so that there is a nice vibrance of color, nice variation. So as you can see, the cliff is already popping out from the background. It doesn't seem like it's blending in with the background anymore. Now I'm going to erase the light that was overlapping on the character's legs. So now we have a solid contrast. Next, I feel like there can be a bit of a shadow, some ambient occlusion. So I'm painting some very soft and subtle occlusion on the character and that Pokemon. Nothing major, nothing too hard or sharp. Next, I'm going to paint some bright highlights on the character, more like a rim light, because she is directly facing the light, so it seems. So I'm going to paint some of that rim light on the Pokeball as well, and some reflection and glow. And then I'm going to add some specular highlight on the scarf with a yellowish color to make the overall color palette more vibrant. and add some highlights on the hair to make it look a bit shiny. Then I'm gonna smudge it to make it blend better, to give it that smoothness. I'm gonna paint some very subtle, cool highlights on her costume near the shoulder and elbow area, and then some highlight on the Pokemon's head, very soft gradient. And finally, I noticed that there are some leaves flying that are off focus in the foreground, so I'm gonna make them dark so that they pop out more. And finally, I'm gonna add some color lookup, such as crisp warm to raise the overall contrast and saturation slightly. And finally, some post-processing effects. I'm adding some chromatic aberration, and finally some noise. And then this is what we have. So here's a quick before and after. So hope you guys enjoyed that, and it's time to move on to the next piece. So here's another piece, and it's a library done by Rohit Chaurasia. The design is already good. The main issue is the lighting can be more dramatic, and again the contrast can be better and the depth can be better. So those are the three things we'll be working on for this. So I'm trying to identify the primary light direction is of course coming from the left side, from behind the bookshelf and the pillars, probably coming from right between the two pillars that we can see in the midground. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make the left library darker because it's not supposed to receive all that light. So I'm making it darker with the multiply blending mode. So yeah, now that it's darker, it's going to help us pull attention away from the entire area. We're not even supposed to look at that. So we're making it dark. I'm going to erase some of the highlight from this foreground pillar with the cat statue. Great. Next, I'm going to try to fix the lighting issue on the pillars. It's mainly about the direction. So I'm trying to erase the lighting from the right side because logically the right side is not supposed to get all the light because there's no primary source, strong source of light. The chandelier is not supposed to cast so much light on that side in a daytime setting. Same with the other pillar. And now for the pillar in the background, again I'm trying to shift the direction of light completely from the right side to the left side. So I'm painting some light on the left side because that's where the primary light should reach and hit first. So some nice selective lighting over there. Again, some rim light for the other pillar. I'm gonna add some glow. I'm a big fan of this. Wherever light hits hard, I like to add some glow to sort of give the sense of how intense the light really is. Trying to make that latter area darker. Okay, now I think another great way to make this whole piece look more rich overall is by painting some reflection. We have some very bright pillars over there, so they can cast some very long reflection on the floor. So I'm just picking some bright white colors. I'm processing the colors directly off of the pillars, the highlight, the lit up region of the pillars, and I'm painting the reflections. Same on the other sides, wherever I can see gaps between the legs of the chairs and tables. I'm trying to draw some reflection. Same for the right side, that some reflection of the bookshelf, of the part that's highly lit. It obviously is gonna cast some good amounts of reflection on the floor. So next I'm gonna try to paint some dust on the floor. I don't want the floors to look too shiny. If it's a very grand historic old library, then it makes sense to have some dust on the floor. It's always a good idea to not make your artworks completely clean and shiny. Make it look like it's used. It's been used by real characters. It's a usable space and it has been used. It's not brand new and shiny. So that adds a lot of character to your artwork and that tells a story. Next I'm trying to draw some foggy, dusty haze in the midground where the light is hitting. A lot of bounce light is flying around in that area. And now I'm going to create some contrast. So basically I'm making the top floor of the light very dark because it shouldn't receive too much light since we're trying to do some selective lighting. So the focus should be on the bookshelf, I guess. Now it's time to create some contrast. So I'm basically erasing the light that I just painted, or the fog that I just painted, from the tables and chairs so that they pop out more. And there's a nice dramatic contrast in the midground. Now look at how the tables and chairs just popped out, and there's a significant amount of depth over there. Let's try to do something about those windows. I'm gonna add some glow over there, some light. And then let me try to add some directional light over there with the help of motion blur. Cool, that looks nice. Now I'm gonna add some overall warm tone to the highlight. It's gonna pick a bright yellow color, and in overlay blending mode I'm going to paint some of that in the entire midground area, especially on the bright highlights. I'm going to erase some of that so that it doesn't look overdone. We already have a nice amount of dramatic feel. I'm trying to add some highlight on the foreground pillar, more like a specular reflection in the central area that's right beside the part of the floor where the light is hitting. Next up, I'm gonna try to experiment with some color lookups. Let's try crisp warm. I'm gonna set it to light in blending mode because I want the effect to primarily show on the highlights only. And then I'm gonna try some edgy amber and bring down the opacity a bit. This is gonna give it more of a vintage effect, brownish warm feel. And finally I'm gonna paint some very subtle cool colors in some of the very dark areas where I don't want too much attention to go, and I'm gonna lower the opacity. And finally some thin highlights on the top part of the bookshelf on the left because light might be hitting that part directly. So yeah, I'm more or less happy with that, and I'm gonna do some final post-processing. So giving it some chromatic aberration and finally adding some noise. So that's what we have now. So here's a quick comparison, a quick before and after of this. So I hope you enjoyed this and got to learn some stuff, some techniques and lighting methods to make your artwork look more dramatic and make it tell some kind of story and enhance the mood. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe and click on the bell icon to get notifications on upcoming videos. And that's all for now. See you on the next one. Peace.